Picture an ordinary drill bit. You have probably seen one sitting in a toolbox. It is silver, slightly twisted, and roughly the length of your finger. It feels solid and purposeful in your hand. Now imagine something with the same job to do, the same forces to survive, the same requirement to spin thousands of times per minute through hard metal, except it has been ground down to the width of a human hair. It cannot wobble, it cannot flex, it cannot generate too much heat, and it absolutely cannot snap. How exactly does something that thin drill a clean, precise hole through metal without breaking immediately? The real reason a micro drill bit works at all is not just that it is sharp. It is that an extraordinary number of engineering problems have been solved inside a space most people cannot even see clearly with the naked eye. Let's get into it right here on Small Things. A tool with too many problems to solve. At its core, a micro drill bit is a cutting tool, ground from a solid rod of tungsten carbide, one of the hardest materials humans have ever engineered. Tungsten carbide is dense, dark gray, and cold to the touch. It is heavier than it looks, smooth on the surface but crystalline underneath, built from atoms locked together so tightly that the material resists deformation under enormous pressure. At the microscale, that hardness becomes a problem. The thinner carbide becomes, the more brittle it grows. The tool must be hard enough to cut metal, yet engineered carefully enough not to shatter under the stress of its own job. That tension is what makes this tool so difficult to build. From a pointed rock to a human hair. It did not begin with carbide or diamond grinding wheels or computer-controlled machinery. It began with a hand and a rock. The earliest drilling tools in human history were nothing more than pointed stones, spun between the palms or twisted with a simple bow mechanism pressed into wood or bone or soft rock. The principle was the same then as it is now. Rotate something harder than your material, apply pressure, and let friction do the cutting. For thousands of years, that was enough. The holes people needed were wide, the materials were soft, and precision was measured in whether the hole appeared at all, rather than exactly where it landed. The leap toward metal drilling came slowly. Ancient Egyptians and Romans used bronze and later iron tools with coarse, hand-filed spiral grooves, and these served their purposes adequately. But the tolerance for error was generous. A hole a millimeter wider than intended changed very little about the outcome. The Industrial Revolution changed the scale of ambition entirely. Mechanical engineering demanded real precision. Engine components, firearm mechanisms, and scientific instruments required holes bored to exact specifications that hand tools simply could not reliably achieve. The twist drill bit, as we now recognize it, was patented by Ambrose Burnside in 1863, a design whose helical fluted shape became the template for almost everything that followed. The spiral groove was not decorative. It had a specific mechanical function that engineers would spend the next century understanding and refining. The push toward ever smaller drilling came in the 20th century, driven almost entirely by electronics. As circuit boards shrank and components became denser, the holes connecting layers of a printed circuit board had to shrink with them. A standard twist drill could not reach those tolerances without tearing the material apart. Something far more precise was needed, and the industry built it. That need produced the micro drill bit as a distinct and specialized tool, manufactured through a process that borrowed the logic of the original twist drill but applied it with a level of control that Burnside's design could not have anticipated. The same helix that cleared chips from a Victorian engine block now does the same job inside a hole the width of a hair. The physics did not change. The scale of care required to execute them did. Why smaller is actually harder. So what actually has to happen to turn a thin rod of carbide into a micro drill bit that works? The process begins before the bit has any shape at all. The raw material arrives as a carbide blank, a smooth cylindrical rod cut to approximate length. The end of that blank is given a finely ground chamfer, removing the rough edge left by the initial cut. Then, a centerless grinder moves the blank between two rotating drums, grinding it to a precisely specified diameter and length. A blank even slightly off in diameter will produce a bit that wobbles when it spins, and a bit that wobbles even invisibly at high speed tears a ragged hole rather than drills a clean one. The blank then enters a CNC grinding machine. A robotic feeder picks each blank from a tray, places it in a collar called a chuck, and holds it perfectly still while a diamond-coated grinding wheel, flooded with liquid coolant, grinds the tip to its final point. This is where the tip reaches roughly 1/10 of a millimeter in diameter, approximately the width of a human hair. The machine produces around 48 pieces per hour. Speed is not the priority, accuracy is. Before the next step, a technician must verify the blank is perfectly centered. Color-coded plastic shims of precise thickness are placed in a jig. The blank advances over a metal support and leaves a mark in blue ink. Under magnification, the technician adjusts the placement by almost invisible increments. This centering process alone can take 4 to 5 hours. Then comes the fluting. A diamond grinding wheel cuts a microscopic spiral groove along the bit in a matter of seconds. That groove is not simply a cutting edge. It is engineered with a forward taper, growing shallower from tip to base at a precise angle. This simultaneously strengthens the bit where stress concentrates and creates a channel that pulls cut material up and out of the hole as the bit turns. Without that flow, chips pack, heat builds, and the bit snaps. The flute is the reason the bit survives its own job. It is not just about being sharp. The most common assumption people make about a drill bit, at any scale, is that sharpness is its most important quality. That assumption misses most of what is actually going on. Sharpness matters, but a micro drill bit that is only sharp would fail almost immediately. The first problem it faces is heat. Drilling through metal generates friction, and friction generates heat fast. At the micro scale, there is almost no mass in the tool to absorb that heat before it concentrates at the tip. If it is not managed, the cutting edge softens and the bit stops cutting. This is why the materials and geometry of the tool are chosen to shed heat rather than hold it. The second problem is chip clearance. When a drill cuts, it removes material in tiny curled fragments that have to go somewhere. In a large drill bit, the flute groove is wide enough that chips move freely. In a micro drill bit, the groove is barely wider than the chips themselves. If the geometry of the flute is slightly wrong, the chips pack, pressure builds, and the bit snaps without warning. The third problem is alignment. A bit this thin, spinning at high speed, is subject to tiny lateral forces that would barely register in a larger tool. At 1/10 of a millimeter, even a slight deviation from center creates enough vibration to walk the bit off course or stress the shank past the point of no return. Sharpness is the beginning. Heat, chip flow, and alignment are what allow the bit to finish. Where a normal drill cannot go. Today, you will find micro drill bits working in places most people never think about and would struggle to see clearly without magnification. Printed circuit boards are the largest single application. The boards inside smartphones, laptops, medical monitors, and industrial control systems are made from multiple layers of conductive material sandwiched together. Those layers must be connected by narrow vertical channels called vias. The holes for those vias are drilled by micro drill bits, often at diameters between 0.1 and 0.5 millimeters, thousands of holes per board, at speeds that demand both extreme precision and complete reliability in every single pass. In medicine, micro drill bits appear in surgical tooling for procedures involving bone. Orthopedic and dental surgeries require holes bored into hard tissue to anchor implants and fixings securely. The bit must cut cleanly without cracking the surrounding bone, reach confined anatomy, and be made from materials that survive sterilization without degrading. In watchmaking and precision optics, microdrilling creates channels and mounting points inside components already operating at the limit of visible scale. A watch movement contains parts where a hole a fraction of a millimeter off-center renders the whole component unusable and unrepairable. The flute geometry refined over more than a century of drilling now clears chips from inside a hole the width of a hair. The helix has not changed. The world it operates inside has become almost impossibly small. Every detail earns its place. So why is making something this small so much harder than making something large? Because at this scale, there is no margin for approximation anywhere. Every engineering decision inside a micro drill bit competes directly against the others. Making the tip harder risks making it more brittle. Deepening the flute improves chip flow but weakens the shank. Tightening the taper strengthens the body but reduces cutting efficiency. There is no easy trade-off to make at 1/10 of a millimeter. A micro drill bit is not just a smaller version of an ordinary drill bit. It is a tool rebuilt from first principles at a scale where almost nothing can be taken for granted. The smaller the tool becomes, the less room there is for error. A micro drill bit works because its material, point, flute, and alignment are all engineered to survive a job that looks impossible for something so thin. If this changed the way you think about the tiny tools hiding inside the technology around you, let us know in the comments what you want us to explore next. We might make it our next episode. Thanks for watching. History often hides in the smallest details.